Have you ever heard of a single event so catastrophic it brought down not one, not two, but three mighty civilizations? No, this isn't the plot of a disaster movie. This is a true story, a volcanic eruption of such epic proportions that its effects rippled across the ancient world, reshaping history forever. Today we're journeying back in time to 1628 BC to witness the incredible power of the Thera volcano and uncover how it led to the downfall of the Minoans, plagued the Egyptians, and even sent shockwaves as far as China. Let's set the scene. The year is 1628 BC, the Bronze Age is in full swing. In the Aegean Sea, the Minoan civilization, based on the island of Crete, is at its absolute peak. They are a maritime superpower, renowned for their stunning palaces, vibrant frescoes, and sophisticated culture. Their trade routes crisscross the Mediterranean, connecting them with the great empires of Egypt and the Near East. One of their most important outposts is a small, bustling island we now call Santorini, but back then was known as Thera or Calliste, the most beautiful one. It was home to a prosperous city, Akrotiri, often called the Minoan Pompeii. But deep beneath this idyllic island paradise, a monster was stirring. The volcano on Thera had been dormant for centuries, but now magma was accumulating in a massive chamber beneath the island. The ground began to tremble. Earthquakes, growing in frequency and intensity, sent a clear warning to the inhabitants of Akrotiri. And remarkably, they listened. Archaeological evidence shows an orderly evacuation. There are no human remains found buried in the ash, unlike Pompeii. People packed their valuables and fled, likely to nearby Crete, believing they would one day return. They had no idea they were escaping one disaster only to sail directly into another. Then the eruption began. It wasn't a single blast, but a series of cataclysmic explosions over several days. First, a plume of ash and pumice shot an astonishing 23 miles into the sky, turning day into night across the region. This initial phase blanketed the eastern Mediterranean in a thick layer of volcanic material. But the worst was yet to come. As the magma chamber emptied, the entire center of the island collapsed into the sea, creating a massive caldera. This collapse triggered one of the largest tsunamis in human history. Imagine colossal waves, some estimated to be over 100 feet high, racing across the Aegean at the speed of a jetliner. They slammed into the northern coast of Crete, the heartland of the Minoan civilization just 70 miles away. The mighty Minoan fleet, the source of their power and wealth, was annihilated in an instant, smashed to pieces in harbors or swallowed by the sea. Coastal towns, farms, and infrastructure were obliterated. The waves surged inland, poisoning fertile farmland with salt and volcanic debris, making it impossible to grow crops. For the Minoans, this was a multi-pronged apocalypse. Their navy was gone, their trade routes severed, their agriculture crippled. The sky was dark with ash, causing a volcanic winter that led to several years of cold, wet summers and failed harvests. Food shortages became rampant, leading to social unrest and political instability. The psychological blow must have been immense. Their world, once secure and prosperous, had been literally torn apart by the gods. The Minoans, weakened and demoralized, became vulnerable. Within a few decades, their once great civilization was a shadow of its former self, eventually being conquered and absorbed by the Mycenaeans from mainland Greece. The first civilization had fallen, but the story doesn't end there. The effects of the Thera eruption were felt far beyond the Aegean. Let's travel south to the mighty new kingdom of Egypt. For a long time, historians and biblical scholars have debated the historical basis of the plagues described in the book of Exodus. While it's a matter of faith for many, some scientists have proposed a fascinating theory connecting them to the Thera eruption. It's a controversial idea, but the correlations are striking. Let's look at the timeline. The eruption in 1628 BC coincides with a period of turmoil in Egypt known as the Second Intermediate Period, just before the rise of the New Kingdom. The biblical account describes a series of plagues that struck Egypt, the Nile turning to blood, darkness covering the land, hail of fire, and swarms of locusts. Could the Thera eruption provide a natural explanation? The theory goes like this. The massive amount of acidic volcanic ash falling into the Nile could have caused an ecological chain reaction. This red tide of algae blooms would turn the water a reddish-brown color, kill the fish, and force frogs to flee onto the land. The subsequent death of the frogs and fish would lead to an explosion in the insect population. Lice, flies, and locusts as their natural predators disappeared. What about the hail of fire and the 3 days of darkness? The eruption would have sent storms of pumice and ash, essentially volcanic rock raining down, which could be described as a fiery hail. The immense ash cloud, drifting south over Egypt, would have blotted out the sun for days, creating a terrifying, prolonged darkness. While this theory doesn't explain all the plagues and remains debated, the parallels are compelling. It suggests that the same volcanic event that crippled the Minoans may have contributed to a period of severe crisis in Egypt, our second major civilization impacted. Now, let's travel even further, all the way to China. It seems impossible that a volcano in the Mediterranean could affect a civilization on the other side of the world, but the evidence is written in tree rings and ancient texts. The eruption of Thera was so powerful that it ejected millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. This gas formed a veil of sulfuric acid droplets that circled the globe, reflecting sunlight back into space and causing a dramatic drop in global temperatures. This phenomenon is known as a volcanic winter, and its effects were devastating. In China, this period corresponds with the collapse of the Xia dynasty and the rise of the Shang dynasty. Ancient Chinese texts, like the Bamboo Annals, describe a yellow fog, a dim sun, then 3 suns, and severe frost in July. They speak of the failure of the 5 cereals and widespread famine and drought that destabilized the ruling dynasty. Scientists have confirmed this through dendrochronology, the study of tree rings. Bristlecone pines in California and bog oaks in Ireland show a period of extremely narrow growth rings around 1628 BC, indicating several years of unusually harsh cold weather. The climate chaos triggered by Thera seems to have caused crop failures on a global scale. For the Xia dynasty in China already facing internal strife, this climate-induced famine may have been the final blow, leading to their overthrow. And so our third civilization felt the volcano's wrath. It's truly staggering to think about. A single geologic event, a volcano on a small Greek island, directly led to the collapse of the advanced Minoan civilization through tsunamis and ashfall. It may have triggered a series of ecological disasters in Egypt that were recorded as biblical plagues. And its atmospheric effects caused a climate catastrophe that helped topple a dynasty in far-off China. The eruption of Thera was a stark reminder of the immense power of nature and our own vulnerability. It reshaped the political and cultural landscape of the ancient world, paving the way for the rise of new powers like the Mycenaeans and the Shang. The world after 1628 BC was a very different place. The beautiful island of Thera was gone, replaced by a deep, water-filled caldera that we now know as the stunning Bay of Santorini. The memory of the cataclysm faded into myth, perhaps becoming the basis for Plato's story of Atlantis, a powerful island nation swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. Today, scientists continue to study the Thera eruption, using ice cores, tree rings, and archaeological digs to piece together the full extent of its global impact. It serves as a powerful case study for how interconnected our world is, and how a single event can have consequences that ripple across continents and through centuries. The story of Thera is more than just ancient history. It's a timeless lesson about the fragile balance between civilization and the awesome, unpredictable forces of our planet. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what you think about the connection between Thera and the plagues of Egypt. See you next time.